Locker Room, with all the sports news you need, live.
And we're live. Welcome to the Locker Room on Indie Live Radio and Independence Live. We are here until 5 o'clock. This is the Locker Room. Don't forget, I'll get all the boring bits out the way first, right, Graham? You can comment on Facebook or YouTube, and you can also tweet us at the Locker Room Indie. Right, Graham, that's the housekeeping rules out the way. On with the show. It feels like between the show and the Friday and the Sunday, I don't know about you, Graham, but it goes in that quick.
I think I see more of you than I do my wife, and I live with her. It shouldn't happen that way, but...
Well, is that not a good thing? No.
Maybe for her it is.
I don't know if your timing's perfect because it's coming up to Valentine's Day, but let's move on swiftly. So we've got plenty of football to talk about today. We've got one game coming up at 4 o'clock, I think it is. Rangers against Packet Thistle, the big Glasgow derby. It's on Viaplay, so if you've not got that channel, stick with us. But if you have, turn down Rory Hamilton and turn up me and Graham, because we are better looking than Rory Hamilton and McCoy and people like that. And we're here until 5 o'clock tonight. Big game for Scotland yesterday, Graham, and a big win in the rugby, and we'll speak about that in a bit, but 2 wins out of 2.
Yeah, I said last week before, I didn't see any reason why Scotland can't win the Six Nations. 2 wins out of 2, and as James, our colleague, put in the group chat yesterday, an outstanding performance for Scotland. They were brilliant all the way through, completely dominated. Finn Russell with a hat-trick of assists, the first Scottish player to do it in a Six Nations. And yeah, I mean, that could have been more. I thought Scotland were brilliant. I did think Wales might have offered a bit more than that, but to be fair, Scotland were fantastic. So absolutely brilliant victory, and 2 wins out of 2, and we've got another 2 home games to come. So every chance that Scotland could actually win this. I've got my fingers crossed that we can.
And the only disappointing thing is there's no games next weekend, because you want that that kind of momentum. It's easy for me to say on the Sunday it continue. So we'll look back in the Scotland game later on in the show. Let's begin, Graham, at the Starts Park yesterday. And I'm not going to say this, Graham, I told you so, but I told you so on Friday night. It's going to be an upset, but I didn't realise that Stephen Hamill is going to lose his job. And yet again, I heard that Stephen Hamill was walking across the park yesterday after the game. Maybe I don't know if that's clear or not, and whatever, but it seems to be a kind of famous thing that managers give, like Jim Goodwin and now Stephen Hamill, and who else will do it. And on you go, Graham, you can say all by myself and me in my handbag walking across the park waving at somebody. I don't know if Stephen Hamill did wave at somebody yesterday, but Jim Goodwin was waving at someone the other week, probably thumbing down a taxi or whatever. Yeah, so let's kick off there then. Rafe Rovers won that game yesterday. And I'm just fighting to see the score. Yeah, 3-1. Rafe Rovers 3, Murrayfield 1. What do you make of this game, Graham?
I'm not going to do the all by myself for Stephen Hamill. I'm going to go down a slightly different route, and I'm going to go lonely. I am so lonely. I need somebody to call my own. Yeah, I felt sorry for Hamill again. But yeah, I mean, that was probably the most predictable cup win that you could see coming. Motherwell were dreadful, but Raith Rovers were excellent. I always felt that was going to be a game that, even the last round, I thought Arbroath might have beaten Motherwell. But to be fair, Motherwell did well in that game. But that one yesterday, there was always something I felt Raith Rovers were going to win that game. And the irony of Isma Gonçalves, an ex-Hearts player who signed on Friday, and he gets the goal that knocks Motherwell out of the cup on the Saturday, having only met his new teammates yesterday at lunchtime. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Raith Rovers are excellent. And I'll get to Motherwell in a second, but Wraith Rovers were very impressive right for the start. They were on the front foot. They get the first goal from a penalty through Jamie Gullen, and it was a penalty. The second goal, Liam Kelly does not come in different glory here. It's a pure mistake from him. I know he's trying to claim a foul. There was no foul in there at all. It's just pure goalkeeping. He knows that himself. He should do better. And Sam Stanton scores. Obviously, Motherwell do get back in the game, and it is that man, as usual, Kevin Van Veen, that scores it. A decent finish. But even then, I always thought Wraith had more than enough to win that game. Great ball through for Gonçalves. Really good finish as well. And again, I think if you're Liam Kelly, you might be disappointed that you've lost that goal. It is straight past him again, but Wraith deserved that win. They were very impressive right for the start. A decent crowd as well, actually, at Kirkcaldy. Really good ground, really decent ground as well. I quite like going to Stark Park. But yeah, a really good win for Wraith Rovers. Thoroughly deserved to be in the quarterfinal draw. But for Motherwell, it is absolutely awful. I mean, the players for me yesterday just looked like they'd switched off completely, which I feel sorry for Hamill. And I always kind of feel that, and sometimes this does work, sometimes it doesn't, but I always feel that it's very difficult to make a club legend a manager, because if things don't go well, do you really want to start singing Hamill out? It was the same when John Robertson got the Hearts job. I didn't want him to get that job because I thought, this guy's a legend. If it fails, I don't want to have to say Robertson needs to go. And it's the same for Stevie Hamill. And again, he did cut a very dejected figure yesterday. He walked out the ground having not said anything. Those players let him down badly yesterday. And as always, whenever a manager gets a sack, it's always a manager's fault. But those players have got to look around and say, did we do enough? And they didn't. And the record of Stevie Hamill: played 28, won 7, lost 16, drew 5, a win rate of 25%. It's not good enough. It's nowhere near good enough. And I have to say as well, massive credit to Liam Kelly for coming out yesterday and, taking the flak for that. He looked utterly dejected. He looked very emotional. And I think a few Motherwell players need to look at that and say, that's what we should be like, because they let, not just him, but they let Motherwell down. And again, like Aberdeen got the last 2 appointments wrong with Jim Goodwin and Stephen Glass. Motherwell have done the same with Alexander and Hamill. They can't afford to get this next one wrong. And on the back of that, they're now looking for a new chief executive because Alan Burrows is going to Aberdeen. So Motherwell have got massive, massive issues.
Yeah, I think that's a good point that you've made, Graham, because I think we spoke about this on the show before about appointing a club legend that scoring goals as well, like Stephen Hamill, and also I think like a few years ago, Henrik Larsson was linked to the Celtic job, and most Celtic fans would say no, because if he comes back and he basically doesn't win Celtic the league and he's a failure and all that, he won't be remembered as Henrik Larsson, the brilliant number 7 that played for Celtic. He would be remembered as that failed manager, a bit like Neil Lennon when they came. But also when you were saying about John Robertson as well, if he comes back to Hearts. So, it can work for you, but also it can work against you as well.
Yeah, I think I kind of understand why these people do it, because they do have an affinity to the club and you're going to get the best out of them. But that record there of Stevie Hamill's is not good enough. A 25% win rate is terrible. And I just think it is always a shame when you see like club legends that just can't, clearly just can't do the job. Stevie Hamill, you could tell he was dejected yesterday, and I felt sorry for him. It's horrible for any manager that loses his job. And especially the way that it kind of happened. You watch Jim Goodwin walking off at Easter Road. You watch Stephen Hamill walking off yesterday. It's horrible to see. But again, it always, whenever results don't happen, it always falls on the manager. But the players seem to get away with this far too often. The players didn't do enough yesterday. Wraith Rovers were first to every ball. They fought harder. They ran faster. And they just outworked Motherwell. And that should never, ever happen. And unfortunately, it did yesterday. And I think the only ones for me that can probably hold their head up yesterday for Motherwell are Van Veen, because again, he tried to get Motherwell back in the game. And I think, although he made those mistakes, I think Liam Kelly can at least hold his hands up that he came out and he was very emotional. You could tell what it means to him. He knows he made mistakes yesterday. He even said that himself, that he made mistakes in the game. But at least he's had the balls to front up and say, you know what, that was nowhere near good enough. And I don't think enough of those Motherwell players are doing that. They've now got a break until next Sunday when they play Hearts. that's now worries me because I know what's going to happen. They'll get a new manager bounce and end up winning that game. But yeah, Motherwell just look. They've got a game in the week, haven't they?
Yeah, they've got a game on Wednesday against St Mirren, and is it no ironic how they play? It's at St Mirren when half of that St Mirren team's ex-Motherwell win.
Yeah, and St Mirren will be looking to bounce back after their cup defeat yesterday, but I mean that wasn't a massive surprise to get beat by Celtic, but they'll be looking to bounce back from that, and you know this could be another. I mean, this is a chance for Motherwell now to show what they've got, and to show any prospective new manager what they've got. I know that they've Stuart Kettlewell's going to be in charge interim just now. Again, he's got experience at Ross County. Would he get the job full time? I'm not sure. I think they need somebody a bit more experienced than that. But it's a chance for them. They've got to pick up points now. You know, the cup's gone. They have to pick up points because at the moment, I think I said this last week, I genuinely think they could go down. They look a very, very poor team just now. And whoever gets that job is going to have a lot of work to do. If they can keep Motherwell up, then fair play. But at the moment, they look a very, very poor side. And as I say, well done, Wraith Rovers, because they thoroughly deserved to win that yesterday. They were very, very good.
Yeah, I mean, Motherwell's last home game, Graham, so the Motherwell's last home win was in August. So that's a terrible record in itself.
Oh, it's horrendous. A really poor record. I don't think they've won since October, I think it is. It's a very poor record. And I've watched a few of their games and they just don't seem to have much about them apart from Kevin Van Veen. If he doesn't score, they've got no other goal threat up there. So they are far too reliant on him. If he was to get injured or suspended, they've got nothing else. I know they made a couple of signings, but nothing that's really turned the corner. So I think Motherwell just now are looking a very serious bet for relegation. And if Motherwell go down, they'll find it very hard to come up because I keep saying this, that the Championship is so tight and so competitive. It would be very difficult for Motherwell to come back up. So they need to try and stay in this division and try and, I think, I'll talk about a rebuild, but they're going to have to try and rebuild in the summer. But they've got a lot of work to do because they're going to lose Alan Burrows. They've just lost a manager. They've got a lot of work to do, but yesterday they were just so poor.
And you were saying Murrow has failed to win a game since October, and obviously they beat a blow in the last round, Graham, but they scraped, what was it, 2-0 that game, and
it was, yeah.
They scored the second goal in like 93 minutes, so you wouldn't say it was a comfortable win for Murrayfield. So they scraped by a blow, and a blow that's not doing too well in the Championship. But yeah, I mean, you would think like a top flight team going to a blow or coming to Fir Park, they would win comfortably 3 or 4-0, but like that wasn't the case.
Both cup games that Motherwell have had, I've thought they could go out. You know, I said when they were drawing against Arbroath, that's a difficult game. You know, going to Gayfield on a Saturday afternoon with that wind and rain and the way that Dick Campbell's team likes to play, I thought that was potentially be a shock. Fair play to Motherwell, they came through it. Yesterday, again, you're looking at that game thinking this could be, and I said on Friday, and you did as well, I could see Wraith Rovers winning this. So it's not, although it's a shock in terms of a championship side beating a Premier League side, it wasn't a shock because we could see it coming. And I think probably most Motherwell fans, if they're being honest, could see that coming as well. They are just they're a very, very poor side just now. There's not a lot about them. The one thing I would say, though, is when they played Hearts, probably a couple of months ago, I think it was, we were actually doing the live show when they were playing Hearts. Hearts won that game 3-0, but Motherwell were very good. They absolutely battered Hearts that day, just couldn't score. They need to get back to that kind of form again, where they played on the front foot, where they were aggressive, where they got in folks' faces. And then if they get their chances, take them. But the last few games, they've looked nothing like that. The St Mirren game on Wednesday will be an interesting game. How are they going to react to that? Because, again, if they win that game, then does that say they didn't like what Stevie Hamill was doing? So it's an interesting one. And obviously, there's going to be a lot of talk about could Stephen Robinson make a sensational return to Motherwell? I don't think that'll happen, personally. I don't see Robinson leaving St Mirren to go back to Motherwell. But it's a big game. It's a really big game for both of them. For St Mirren as well, because they're looking to try and get in that, try and maintain that top four. So it's a difficult game for both.
Yeah. Let's speak about Wraith Rovers then, Graham. Val McDermott and all her pals will be happy because into the Challenge Cup final, they won in midweek I think that game went to extra time, actually. And also, they beat Murrayfield yesterday. So, quite a decent week for Raith Rovers.
They've had a great week, and if you look at last season as well, they knocked Aberdeen out of the League Cup as well. They knocked Aberdeen out of the League Cup, so they're a very good cup side, especially at Starks Park. And as a Hearts fan, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm looking at the draw and thinking, I wouldn't mind Raith Rovers, but at home, I don't want to play them at Starks Park because they're a tough team at Starks Park. I think Ian Murray, as much as an ex-Hibby, he's done a very good job for Raith Rovers, and you can see what it meant to him yesterday. They've had a very, very good season so far. They're still in and about that kind of race for the getting promoted. They've had a very, very good season, and yesterday they were excellent. Fair play again, Ian Murray, because he brings Ismail Gonçalves in. He's on the bench yesterday. He comes on and he basically knocks Motherwell out. So it's a very good signing. He knew he needed more firepower. He's got that. Gonçalves is a good player. I liked him at Hearts. Maybe at times a little bit lazy, but he's got that finishing product. And he did that yesterday, a really good goal. So your Wraith are in a very good place just now, and I don't think anybody in that quarterfinal draw, if it's at Starks Park, is going to fancy going there because they're a very, very good side at home.
And that's Askecuff Park they've got, isn't there?
Yeah, it's actually not a bad wee park.
Yeah.
Listen, I rip the AstroTurf and plastic pitches apart a lot, but that's actually quite a nice park, it looks like. Motherwell, it wasn't the park that cost them. Yes, it's a very good performance. But Raith Rovers, if Raith Rovers, for example, were to get Hearts at home in the cup draw, that's another potential for a shock there because Raith are a very, very good cup side, as you just mentioned there. So fair play to Raith Rovers. They're only one more game away from Hampden, which would be absolutely fantastic for them.
I think it's one of the better surfaces, Graham. Obviously, you can tell by what's in the highlights, but compared to that in Livingston, you can tell there's a big difference in that. And I would say about Rugby Park as well, Kilmarnock. But I think Livingston's the worst surface out, But obviously we just saw the highlights last night, Graham, like everybody else. But there was a couple of good standouts for Raith Rovers yesterday. Sam Stanton scored a brilliant goal, and he had a few good chances as well.
Yeah, I thought Stanton was excellent. Again, I think he's an ex-Hibs player as well, so Ian Murray knows him very well. I thought he was very impressive in that midfield. He was tenacious. He got about Motherwell. I think that's something Motherwell missed. They didn't have that tenacity in midfield. And again, I thought Jamie Gullen up front was very good. He led the line really well. He caused Motherwell a lot of problems. So Raith Rovers can be very proud of the performance yesterday. The people in Raith have been dancing about the streets of Raith yesterday. A very good performance. And again, quite a decent home crowd as well. I don't know how many there was, but it was a decent home crowd from what I can see. So they'll be looking forward to a little cup run. The draw, obviously, tomorrow at 5:30. They'll be looking forward to seeing who they get. And if they can get another home draw, there's every chance they could be at Hampden, which would be fantastic for Raith Rovers.
And it was a decent Murrayfield support that Murrayfield took as well to Raith Rovers as well. But I was just going to say, do you think that win and also the week in midweek has kind of like Shauna like back in the team? Because obviously we spoke about the off-field ongoings this season, and we don't want to repeat them again. But do you think that the fans would be willing to come back to Raith because they're doing well on the park and they're into a quarter-final?
I think some might, but I think a lot of people will still have that doubt about obviously what happened with David Goodwillie. There'll be a lot of fans that just have said they won't go back because of that. And I get it, because it should never have happened. Raith Rovers should never have done it. But it's happened now, and they need to get back to what's happening on the park. And on the park, they've done very, very well. They're still in with a chance of winning the championship, or at least getting promoted, or at the playoff. They're in the Challenge Cup. And they're also now in a Scottish Cup quarter-final. So everything on the pitch is going very well. But there's always going to be, and I think Robbie said it on Friday as well, there's always going to be that thing in the back of your head about, what happened with that whole David Goodwillie thing, and it should never have happened. So there's always going to be that doubt about anybody watching the news will think, that's that team that had that David Goodwillie there. I don't want to go and watch them. So, yeah, there'll always be that thing in the back of the head. But I'm pretty sure that if Wraith Rovers get to a semi-final or a final, I think you'll probably see a lot more fans turning out.
Yeah, just quickly, Graham, before we kind of move on to the other games then, what do you make of Stuart Kettlewell taking over, as you mentioned, earlier on? But, I mean, basically, Murray's season's finished now. I think that the whole Murray fans and also everybody at the club will just be saying can be scared this season.
Yeah, I mean, they took 3,000 fans to Motherwell, which is to Race, which is a great away support. I'm not going to lie. And those Motherwell players let their fans down yesterday, and I think Liam Kelly basically said the same thing. So, I mean, I think, yeah, they have to now try and stay up. That's got to be the main aim. I'm not sure if Stuart Kettlewell's the man to do that. I think he did okay at Ross County, but I'm just not convinced he's the man to keep them up. They need somebody a bit more experienced in there. I've heard Neil Lennon's name getting mentioned. I don't think Neil Lennon will take that Motherwell job, and I really don't think he'll take that job. I've seen Jim Goodwin's name mentioned. Are you really going to take Jim Goodwin after what happened at Aberdeen? I personally don't think you will. So I think they maybe need to look a bit further afield. I don't know who, but it's going to be interesting because, as I said, they can't afford to get this appointment wrong. You know, they've made 2 poor appointments in Alexander and Hamill. They can't afford to get this next one wrong. They have to stay in this league because if they go down, I think they'll struggle to come back up.
If Stuart Kettlewell gets off to a good start on Wednesday night against Motherwell, would you put in the Motherwell position that the manager's hot seat until now and the end of the season? Because I mean, there's only like 13 games to go.
I suppose Stuart Kettlewell might not admit this, but I suppose for him this would be like a job interview for him. You know, let's see how he does. He's got 2 games, probably the next couple of games against St Mirren and Hearts to prove what he can do. If he was to win those games, the Motherwell board might just think, do you know what? Let's just give him to the end of even until the end of the season and see what happens. If he loses one or even both, then that kind of rules him out straight away. So it's a big job for Stuart Kettlewell, but I think they need somebody a bit more experienced. I don't even know if they might look abroad to another manager abroad. I don't know. But as I say, they have to get this appointment right because they have failed the last 2. And I really feel sorry for Stephen Hamill. You know, you could tell that he wanted the job. You could tell that he tried to put as much as he could into that job, but it just didn't work. I mean, that win rate of 25% is nowhere near good enough. And he probably knew yesterday. He knew his time was up. As soon as he walked off that pitch, he knew his time was up. And again, I feel sorry for him because he is a club legend at Motherwell. And to have that kind of go against you it's disappointing.
Before we move on, and I just found out there before we came on there, and you mentioned it, Graham, Scottish Cup draw quarterfinals. It's a big moment for teams like Ayr United and the so on and so forth. It's not on the telly. You've got to go and look for, if you're lucky to have a computer or a phone or whatever, 5:30 on the Monday night. Do you not feel it's a bit daft that they should be keeping that draw until after the Darvel Falkirk game tomorrow night? Would that make more sense? Well,
they could have done that, or they could have done it after the Rangers game this afternoon. But you know, that's just the SFA for you. I think it is ridiculous that it's a 5:30 on a Monday. As you said, you've got to try and find it. Yes, you could have easily done that after the Darvel game yesterday. Even if it goes to extra time and penalties, you could have still done it after the game tomorrow. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. But let's be honest, most of what the SFA does doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah. So it doesn't really surprise me. Let's be honest.
I mean, it takes a bit of that excitement out it for me, Graham. You know, like I mean, in terms of like smaller clubs like Ayr United, they just want to find out who they got. You know, if it was on BBC tomorrow night, everybody could watch it. But again, you've got to fight to watch it, and you know, it's terrible. I mean, I remember years ago. I don't know if you remember. Down in England, I think Scotland was the same, but when it came to the FA Cup tie, you had like a game and then you had a draw after the game, but you had fans of all the clubs in the actual room or wherever they were making the draw, but they don't seem to do that in Scotland. But as you say, Scottish football, it's back to front sometimes.
Could you imagine Celtic, Rangers, Hearts, Ipswich in the same room? There's no chance they would ever do that. Not a chance they would do that. But yeah, I mean, let's be honest. There's probably every chance that draw tomorrow is going to be Celtic against Hearts. So Celtic in the home game and Hearts will go out. So that wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. But yeah, I wish they had made the draw even after the game today. Make it after the Rangers game. Or, as you said, make it after the Derby game. But to do it at 5:30, where you've got to go and try and find it, I think it's on YouTube somewhere. It is a bit pointless. And yeah, it does probably take the excitement out of it. As I say, I love the Scottish Cup. I love the Scottish Cup draws, but it is kind of being a bit devalued by that. They could have easily done it after one of these two games. But as I say, it's the SFA. It's no surprise. That's
the second time they've done that as well, Graham. And obviously, I don't know if you watched the last round draw, but when you find it on YouTube, it's only on for like 3 or 4 minutes, and then it's finished. So
what they need to do is get the Scottish Cup draw and get Rod Stewart back in to do it, because that was hilarious the last time they've done it.
Number 5. Yeah. But, I mean, 5:30 on a Monday night, that's about a random time. I mean, if they were going to have that, why not have it 11:30 at night?
I'll be having my dinner by then. I've not got time to try and look for that draw.
What, 11:30 at night?
No, 5:30.
5:30. Okay. So I think we're about to get team news from Ibrox of the game between Rangers, the big derby, and Packet Thistle. So let's go now. Well done to Raith Rovers, by the way. They'll find out tomorrow who they get in the next round of the Cup. And they will go into another home game because it's more money for them. But, I mean, I suppose it doesn't matter, because if it's away from home, I think they get 50-50 of the gate, especially if it's on TV, because if they play against Hearts or Celtic or Rangers or Packet Thistle, then that game might be on the telly as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think at this stage you mind who you get, and Raith Rovers will fancy taking everybody on. Obviously not Celtic or Rangers or maybe Hearts, but yeah, they'll fancy taking anybody on, to be honest. I think they would rather it was at Starks Park to give themselves a better chance. Yeah, I mean, I think they'd probably rather it was at Starks Park to have a better chance. But listen, when you get to that draw, it doesn't matter who you get. The Rangers team for this afternoon, by the way, is Rangers start with McGregor, Tavernier, Sands, Davis, Barisic, Kamara, Raskin, Cantwell, Tillman, Hadji, and Cholak. On the bench for Rangers, it's McLaughlin, Goldson, Jack, Kent, Morelos, Wright, Roof, King, and Devine. And I'll just try and bring you the Partick Thistle team as well. Partick Thistle lineup. Jamie Snedden, Jack McMillan, Harry Milne, Kevin Holt, Kyle Turner, Scott Tiffany, Stuart Bannigan, Brian Graham, Lee Hodgson, Connor McAvoy, and Aaron Muirhead. And on the bench for Partick, they don't give me first names for this, Mitchell, Brownlee, Dowds, Lawless, Smith, Mullen, Fitzpatrick, Docherty, and McKenzie. So that game kicks off in around about half an hour.
And if you're a football and Iraq, the last time that Rangers and Packet Thistle met was back in 2018, almost 5 years to the day. And Ibrox Rangers won 2-0. Was James Tavernier scoring the second goal for.
Was that a penalty?
It wasn't a penalty, actually, no. And Josh Wingate, Dash, remember him?
I hope there's no Rangers fans watching this.
No, I know. I'm sitting on the fence as always. Yeah,
are you enjoying those splinters, eh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Good afternoon to my one of the colleagues here, James Elliott. Come on, the Jags. I don't know what team he'll be supporting today then.
Can I just say as well, I hope James is feeling better, because I know he's not managed to do a couple of these last two shows. He's Thursday night, Your Country, and his big Saturday show. So big shout out to you, James. I hope you're feeling better, mate.
Yeah, that's fun enough. I'm not going to say this, Graham, but I was going to say that. So well done. Hopefully you're back to full health soon, and we'll get you back on the show soon. Right, let's move on to another shock yesterday. Or was it a shock? yesterday. Livingston won Inverness 3, Graham, and Inverness Inverness fans will be saying themselves, well, we get booted out the cup 1 week, we're back in the cup, and now we're in the quarterfinals.
Super Cali, go ballistic, Livy are atrocious. You could write that headline. Yeah, I mean, I generally, of all the results I didn't see coming, it was that one. I thought Livingston would win that game quite comfortably. No disrespect to Billy Dawes or Inverness, but Inverness were brilliant. They were very, very impressive. Livingston defensively were terrible yesterday, probably the worst I've seen them actually. Billy Mackay's 2 goals. They are very good goals, but the defending is so poor. And the goal for Sean Welsh as well, standing on his own in the 6-yard box, a free header. You just don't expect that from Livingston. But Inverness were excellent. You know, first half, there wasn't really a lot between the teams. It was quite a kind of scrappy first half. But second half, Inverness were fantastic. Thoroughly deserved to win that game. And, you know, as you just mentioned there, they shouldn't have been in the draw. You know, that should have been Queen's Park. But fair play to Inverness. They've taken the chance. And Billy Mackay is in a rich vein of form just now.
What a brilliant goal as well.
His second goal's a great finish. I mean, the ball's played into just the edge of the box. And it's a fantastic finish past the goalkeeper. A very good goal. And Billy Mackay, again, was a threat all throughout yesterday. But Inverness were excellent. You know, that was a game that, as I said on Friday, I thought Livingston were far too much. But what do I know? Fantastic from Inverness. They were brilliant. And again, like Wraith, I don't think they'll mind who they get in the quarterfinals because the main thing is they're in there. But yeah, fantastic from Murrayfield. They were brilliant yesterday. Well done, Billy Dawes. That was a great performance.
I mean, I was just watching the highlights, Graham, right, and I can't remember the last time you actually saw the games of the round and you had some decent goals as well.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, even Billy Mackay's first goal is a good finish, but he's left pretty much unmarked to take that shot, which should never happen. You know, I think David Martindale was disappointed the way his team defended yesterday because they were very, very poor. Probably the worst I've seen them, actually. And there's a lot of Premier League teams can't go to Almondvale and win 3-0. So big up to Inverness for that. But the defender from Livingston was terrible. You know, for me, they didn't offer enough going forward either yesterday, which was a big disappointment. But you can't take anything away from Inverness because they were, the second half, they were very, very impressive. They dominated the second half, really, and they probably could have scored more, to be honest.
I mean, the only chance Livingston had was a free kick in the first half, and that was it. But I mean, Inverness going there and winning comfortably 3-1 on the day, Graham, I mean, that's going to send out a message to most of the big boys, especially Celtic, how to win there.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's a lot of Premier League teams can't go there and do that. So well done, Inverness. You know, they were very, very good second half. And as I said, Billy Mackay's a man in form just now. And it was, you know, a very, very good win for Inverness. As I said, watching the results coming through yesterday, I did not see that one coming. When it went to 1-0 Inverness, I thought, plenty of time for Livingston to come back in this. Then it goes 2-0 and you think, this game could be over. When it goes 3-0, the game's done. And Inverness saw it out very well, and they've got to be delighted with that. And it also might give them a little push on in the Championship as well. You know, if they can go to a place like Livingston and win 3-0, what can they do in the Championship? That's got to lift them in the Championship, I think. And I suppose if you're Queen's Park watching that as well, you're thinking that could have been us.
Inverness is not a bad team, Graham. I mean, did they not make it to the playoff last year? And was it Packet Thistle? Did they not beat them in the semi-final?
They were in the semi-final of the Scottish Cup about 3 or 4 seasons ago, I think it was, because Hearts beat them in the semi-final. And then Hearts lost to Celtic. Shock. But yeah, Livingston are, again, they're another very good cup team, as Celtic fans will no doubt know. But they're a very, very good cup side. And that was another fantastic result. To go away from home anywhere and score 3 goals is fantastic. But to do it at a Premier League side who have been very, very good, especially at home, it's a great result and performance. And, you know, Billy Dawes quite rightly was delighted last night, as he should be, because they were excellent.
I mean, Billy Mackay, I mean, he can still do it at a top level, Graham, because even though he scored goals yesterday, but that was, he scored 8 goals in 7 games, not bad going.
It's a great goal scoring record, and he's a man in form just now. And again, just the way that he took his goals. I keep going back to the second goal, but it's such a good finish. The ball comes in for the right-hand side. He's on the edge of the box, and he just looks up on his right-hand side. It's a fantastic finish past the keeper who's got no chance. And that's a man in confidence. If he wasn't confident, he wouldn't even tried that. So fair play to Billy Mackay. I do still think, Livingston should have defended better. But listen, you can't take it away from the guy. It's a great finish. Livingston, for me, I think it was just a bit an off day for them. They were disappointing all through the game. As I said, they didn't really create a lot apart from that one chance you spoke about. But that was a massive kick in the teeth for them, and they've been so good, especially at home. But now they're out the cup. They can now focus on trying to get that top 4, which there's every chance they could do,
And
but that'll be that. Yeah, I mean, Livingston in European football would be incredible. But that was a massive kick in the teeth for them yesterday, because I think Livingston fans would have gone there full of hope, full of expectation, and they just didn't perform yesterday. But you can't take any away from Inverness, because they were very, very good.
I'm so glad, Glenn, that you said kick in the teeth there. And also the other goal scorer for Inverness yesterday was Sean Wells. But I mean, if you were like a bit Billy Dogs or Inverness, a supporter, as I say, you couldn't believe your luck.
No, I mean that second goal, that Sean Welsh goal for me, is indicative of how bad Livingston were yesterday. I cross into the box again, and Sean Welsh is standing on his own in the 6-yard box to head home. Now, I always kind of think these goals that going off the post that actually make it look better, and that did yesterday. It's a good header, but he shouldn't be left unmarked in the box. It's poor defending from Livingston, and they were poor all throughout. As I say, you look at Billy Mackay's first goal, it's a long ball. He's standing on his own. There's 2 Livingston players side by side doing nothing to close him down. And again, you can't take it off Billy Mackay. It's a great finish, but defensively, Livingston were as poor as I think I've seen them before. And that was a big surprise for me, because they're normally a lot better than that.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's just a pity that there wasn't a big support there to see it, Graham.
Yeah, again, I spoke about this before. Again, I keep saying the fact that Livingston have such a nice wee ground. It's a nice wee kind of local stadium, and they just don't have the fans to fill it. I mean, how often have you seen Celtic, Rangers, Hearts, even Hibs having 3 sides of the stadium? And that for a home game should never ever happen. You should never be outnumbered by the away fans. But that just goes to show how much. But the thing is, Livingston, I think, have been at a couple of finals recently as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And they've taken a bigger support to those games than they do at home. Where are these fans normally? It is baffling to me why teams like Livingston, St Johnstone, Motherwell, example, Dundee United, they don't have massive home games or home gates. But as soon as they get to a final or semi-final, they want 20 or 30,000 tickets. That just makes no sense to me.
I'm sure maybe I'm making this one up, Grim, or maybe anyone can let us know if you're watching, but I'm sure Livingston won a cup like years ago under, was it John Collins when he was a manager at Livingston? Or maybe I'm just thinking that.
They won the League Cup in 2004 where they played Hibs in the final. They won 2-0 against Hibs.
That was it, yeah. But I mean, if you look at Livingston, right, then at the end to the quarterfinals, right, this is the sixth time of making it into the quarterfinals in the last decade. Is that no brilliant outside of Celtic, Rangers, and Hearts, and all the kind of bigger teams, you would say?
Yeah, I mean, I think Livingston as well. Was it last season before, were they in the League Cup or Scottish Cup final? Livingston are a good club. I've said this numerous times before. They're a good club. They're a good family club. David Martindale does a phenomenal job there, and I just wish they had a bit more support. And I'm sure David Martindale spoke about this in the past as well. That they would like to get more fans at the home games. I think when you go to Livingston and you see like fans leaving to go to Celtic Park or Ibrox, it is a massive letdown because you've got a ground right there. You've got a stadium right there. It's a really good stadium. Yes, I'm not a fan of their plastic pitch, but it is the way it is. But I just think I wish they had a bigger support. And yesterday, I don't know what the crowd was last night, but it wasn't great, as you said. I don't know how many fans came down from Inverness, but they probably had more support than Livingston, to be honest. So yeah,
I mean,
Livingston,
yeah.
On you go.
No. I was just going to echo that it's a nice Skiggham and it's very accessible as well. You know, they've got a big, massive car park outside the Skiggham, and have they not got a hotel next to the Skiggham as well?
And they've got a big, massive shopping centre as well. Because I remember years and years ago, I was going to football. So what happened was my wife she was going to the shopping centre, dropped me off at the football, and I could just walk back. I could just walk back to the shopping centre after the game. It was great. You know, what more could you want? Your wife goes to the shopping centre, you go to the football. What more can you want?
Funny enough, I knew you were going to say something like that. But I'm looking for all the females' comments here in the comment section saying, Graham, what are you talking about? Graham shopping's brilliant.
Not if you're shopping my wife. Not if you're shopping my wife. My wife, it's not.
Yeah, but me as well. But yeah, I mean, I always annoys me when like Celtic or Hearts or Rangers go to McDermott Park in Livingston and fill it out every week. Well, every week that they're playing Livingston. But I think I mentioned this in the show before, Graham, that if you were a Livingston fan watching that, would you technically not be? I know why they're doing it to generate more income, but would you not be a bit embarrassed?
Yeah, probably. If I was a Livingston fan, yeah, I think I would be. I mean, I don't know what it's like for season ticket holders. You could probably pick and choose your seats because there's not enough fans for season tickets. But they need to. I think they need to have someone, not just them actually, but Livingston, St Johnstone. I think they need to have some incentive to get fans to go. Now I know that a while ago St Johnstone did this thing about 20 is plenty, which I agree with because I'm not going to lie. Some of the prices of tickets are an absolute scandal. They need to set a price at, and I agree with St Johnstone on this. Have it £20 a ticket. Maybe then more folk might go. But you're paying, like I said this last week for Hearts United, it was like £27, £30 for a ticket. Now, even though I'm a Hearts fan, I'm not going to pay that because it takes me probably about an hour and a half to get to the stadium. Then you're paying £27 for a ticket. You're paying money for a programme. You're paying money for food at the game. It's an expensive day out. So they need to have some incentive to cut ticket costs. This is probably, I think, for another show. But they need to do a thing where they can cut ticket costs and make it like £20 or even less because I think that stops a lot of fans going as well.
I think, like, if you were asking me how I would sell Livingston to the Livingston fans to go to the games, is the macaroni pies, Graham. Brilliant.
I do like a macaroni pie, actually. I'm quite partial to macaroni pie.
Yeah, but no, brilliant because I had one the last time I was there and I was, yeah, I only had one there enough. Anyway, I don't know why I'm talking about food. And now I'm happy to announce... Now I'm happy to say, Graham, that we've got a special guest on the show, Gordon Ramsay. No, we're not. So yeah, as
you
for
can't, you can't swear on this show. Not allowed to swear on this show.
No, yeah, beep. As for Inverness, Graham, they would want to. I mean, as Celtic found out years ago, and also Inverness won Scottish Cup with I can't remember the Inverness manager's name at the time, but Inverness is not a bad cup team.
Yeah, again, a bit like Wraith, they're doing very well in the cups, and you're right, Inverness did win the cup a while ago, and I think it was James Vincent scored the winning goal in that game as well, so against Falkirk, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I mean, Inverness are a very good cup side, and again, they'll be looking again for a home draw. I think whenever you get to the station, you want a home draw. But again, a bit like Wraith, I don't think they'll mind who they get. Probably don't want to get Celtic and Rangers again, but then maybe it'll be a decent windfall for them. You know, get a trip to Ibrox and Celtic Park, assuming that Rangers win today. But you know, it's a decent chance again for them to get to a final, get to Hampden Park again, which would be a great day out. And again, I think Inverness would probably take quite a few fans to Hampden again if they can get there.
Charlie Christie, Graham.
Charlie Christie,
yeah. So yeah, I was playing mind games for myself, but actually just come back to me. So 2-1, 3-1, 2.
Back, it's all coming back to me.
One day, yes. One day we might do a music show and stuff like that. I mean, I've always wanted to do a music show about, because see, when you know so much up here in Scotland, right? breaking away from the football for a minute, like as I always do it. But see, when you're watching the games again in England, after the game, they always play songs that's got nothing to do with football teams, like Sweet Caroline and stuff like that. And I know that Arsenal has got one as well, but there you go.
Do you know what? Do you know what I've never understood? Right? Why don't United play that song that they play? Ho ho ho, beautiful sun. Why do they play that?
Yeah, I know.
That's got nothing to do with football. What's that about?
Especially if you're playing on a Tuesday night. You know,
I've never understood why they play that song.
No, I know. Yeah, well, things like that. You know, why play songs that's got nothing to do with a further football team? But it's good.
Maybe they play on a Monday. They can play Manic Monday.
I have to get. Yeah, maybe if you're a Murrow fan, you would play that tomorrow. Yeah. So,
right now, there's a Futures Motherwell could play.
Yeah, yeah. Can we get out of here, please? So Livingston won, Inverness 3, and Livingston goes on to the quarterfinals of the
No,
Cup.
they don't. Inverness do.
Inverness, yes. See, I was going well up until that point, even though I had that written down in front of me, but I still managed to mess it up, Graham, you know. It's been a long weekend. Okay, let's go to speak about... Let's go and speak about the game last night, Graham. Celtic 5, St Mirren 1. I was saying to you before we came on air, you know how when teams come to Parkhead and Ibrox, they park the bus, and especially in a league game, well, in the cup game, they've got no choice because they've only got one chance of winning the game, or else, as you say, Megan, you tease it. So they would have to come out and have a go. And I thought St Mirren done that for parts of the game last night. And it made for a better game, even though you wouldn't know that if you never saw the game and you're good for getting the score 5-1. But St Mirren did well up until about 75 minutes, was it, last night? And then the roof kind of like came in. So it makes it a better game when teams comes out and stops defending for the whole game, because, I mean, what's that got to achieve?
Yeah, I mean, I always think cup football, you may as well just have a go. And St Mirren know that they can beat Celtic because they've done it not that long ago, although it was at St Mirren. But yeah, I mean, I think Robinson set up his team to have a go yesterday, and they did try. But as always with a Celtic side, they've got that much quality. I think Hatate was on the bench and he comes on and scores 2. I know one's a penalty, but his second goal is a great finish, to be fair. Obviously, you've got O that scores for his first goal. You've got a great finish from Matt O'Reilly. And I think St Mirren did as much as he could, but there's no doubt that the game changer was that sending off. And I think personally it was very, very harsh. Again, I would hope we wouldn't have to talk about this, but VAR again plays a massive part. I mean, yes, it is a penalty. Now, I don't know how the referee at first doesn't see it, because it looks, again, I don't think it's deliberate. You know, he's trying to block it. His hands are up and it is a penalty. But I don't think, for me, I don't know how the referee doesn't see that. And then again, he takes ages to actually go to the monitor and say, yeah, that's a penalty. I don't personally think it's a sending off, because I don't think it's meant. You know, I don't think he's tried to block it, deliberately his hands. So I think a sending off was very, very harsh.
I was actually quite surprised that he got sent off, Graham.
I mean, you've got that double jeopardy thing. And I didn't think that would come into play yesterday. Yes, obviously it's a penalty, but I think to send Taylor off, I think was very harsh, because it's not deliberate. You know, it's accidental. But again, I'm sick of talking about referees because they just do my head in this year. But yeah, I mean, after that, Celtic were very, very comfortable. And as you said, had you not watched the game and you came in and saw 5-1, you're thinking, oh, very comfortable for Celtic. But it wasn't really the case for all that game. Yes, Celtic were the better side for most of it, but St Mirren put a lot into that game. And 5-1 probably does seem very harsh, but Celtic have got so much quality. You know, as I say, you're bringing Hatate off the bench, who comes on and scores 2. You've got O that scores, and Matt O'Reilly, that's a great finish as well. So Celtic always had that bit of quality, but yeah, I thought St Mirren did very well yesterday. You know, we had David Ferguson on the show on Friday, and he wasn't confident, understandably, because you're at Celtic Park, but St Mirren did try to have a go. But at the end of the day, Celtic just showed their class, and I know there's been a lot of talk about could Postecoglou go to Leeds United. Again, I don't think that'll happen. I think from what I can see, Postecoglou seems very happy at Celtic. I think in time, he probably will go, but I don't think that's for anywhere near the future.
I mean, you would think, like, I know you're a Hearts fan, Graham, but I mean, is it not worrying if you're a fan of other teams, especially Rangers as well, that, okay, Giacomakis is, I don't think that deal's been done, but you could say it's mathematically done. But you don't know the difference because when he goes away, somebody else comes in, takes his place, scores goals, plays well. So Andy Postecoglou is building a kind of like conveyor belt, if you want to call it like this, because somebody moves out, somebody kicks his place, scores goals, he goes, somebody else comes in. You know what I mean? So you don't know the difference as well.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at that bench yesterday for Celtic. Haksabanovic, Abada, Kobayashi, Awata, Bain, O'Reilly, Hatate, Forrest. It's a very, very strong Celtic bench. So you know, as a Celtic fan, if you're Postecoglou, if you're taking a player out, you're not making them any weaker by putting one of those players off the bench.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show just how strong that Celtic side is. And I'm glad you mentioned Giacomakis because he's probably now the second Scottish person in the last week that I've seen that has slagged off Scottish football now they've left. Now, this is a guy that couldn't even get in the Celtic side. So for him to be slagging off Scottish football is a bit rich. So again, I try and stick up for Scottish football as much as I can. But for Giacomakis to basically stick the knife in and say, oh, it's not very competitive in Scotland, maybe it's not for you, but you know, Celtic and Rangers have more money. They've got a bigger fan base. They've got a better players.
Yeah.
So I think for somebody like Ryan Porteous did the same thing when he went down to Watford as well. Basically saying, oh, the standards here is a lot better. You've been there a week, mate. Honestly, remember where you came from. Scottish football gave you a chance. And I think he'll get found out in England anyway. But I just think for Giacomakis to basically slag off Scottish football is a bit rich, given the fact he couldn't even get in that Celtic side.
And I mean, he's going to a league in America. Let's face it. I mean, American football. They've built up over the years, and they've got better financials than Scotland. So you could actually argue the case, Glenn, that he's actually going to a league with better money than Scotland.
Exactly. I mean, that's probably why he's gone, isn't it? Because obviously he couldn't get at the Celtic side, and now he's gone for more money. So, you know, to have a go at the Scottish League and say it's not very competitive, maybe to you it's not, but to everyone else who's trying to compete at the top level, it is. I mean, listen, I've said numerous times before, I would love for, obviously not Hibs, but Hearts, Aberdeen, Motherwell, Dundee United, whatever, I would love them to be up there challenging and competing with Celtic and Rangers, but the finances dictate that that's just not going to happen. Maybe every now and again you can maybe beat Celtic and Rangers one game, maybe even two, but over the course of a season, it's just impossible to do. And again, I think I said this last week as well. I could understand in the 80s why Wallace Mercer tried to take over Hibs and tried to build one team. And I can understand as well why Dundee and United tried to do the same thing. But trying to merge two teams like Dundee United and Hearts and Hibs was never going to happen. But it is so difficult to compete at that top level. Now, next season, we're going to all start at scratch again. But I can guarantee by around September, October, Celtic and Rangers will be miles ahead of everyone else. And that doesn't make it a great look for Scottish football. But we do, you know, we try and compete as best we can. You know, St Mirren beat Celtic a few weeks ago, which was a great result. But even then, all it takes is Celtic to go on a run and they're back where they were. So it is very difficult. And I just don't think, I've said this as well before, I don't think in my lifetime I'm ever going to see anybody else apart from Celtic Rangers win the league. And again, I will say this as well. I know that there's been talk about this. I hope this doesn't happen.
Super League,
but yeah, I know there has been talk about the Super League coming back up again, which I think is a horrendous idea. Get that on the bin straight away. But if it happens and Celtic and Rangers were to leave Scottish football, I think that's a good thing. Now, I know a lot of folk might not tune in because there's no Celtic Rangers in it, but I think what a chance you've got. Again, make it a bigger league. Celtic Rangers go into the league, that's fine. Let them go. You've then got teams equal level that could win the league I think that's actually a good thing for Scottish football, for me anyway. I know a lot of folk will say that if you win the league, it's tainted because the old firm's not there. I couldn't care less. I get to see my team winning a title. I don't care how we do it.
I'm going to come back to you and speak about a few comments that you made, Graham, about the Super League and about your favourite subject this season, VAR, and how embarrassing it is to Scottish football, the time it takes as well, and the comment that Alan Shearer made last night on Match of the Day. I don't know if you saw his comments after I think it was the Arsenal game yesterday.
Yeah, I was watching it. Yeah, I was watching it.
But just touching upon St Mirren for a minute, Graham. Okay, they get beat yesterday 5-1, and they competed well for Celtic against 75 minutes, and then they went to Celtic back a few weeks ago, and that was one of the games in hand, I think it was. And they still get beat, but again they competed well. I think Celtic's going to St Mirren Park in a few weeks as well, so that's going to be a big test for Celtic going there, because that was the last time Celtic get beat at St Mirren Park. But as far as St Mirren point of view, if you were a St Mirren fan, would you be happy that the progress is made, that Stephen Robertson has made this season? Because I mean, if you look at the table, Graham, they're lying in sixth position. They could easily make the top half.
Yeah, I mean, if they beat Motherwell Wednesday, which there's every chance they will, they go into fourth. So I think St Mirren have had a very good season. And I know that David Ferguson, and I know that one of the commenters we had on Friday, Azalino, he's a St Mirren fan as well. And they've been quite happy with what they've done this season, and they've got every right to be. They could easily be in that top four this season, which would be remarkable. Let's be honest, it would be incredible. So I think St Mirren, you take that yesterday with a pinch of salt. It was Celtic Park. You went a man down. I think 5-1 in the end was very, very harsh. The two goals that Celtic scored were very, very late to make it 5-1, so it was very harsh. But I think Robinson can be more than happy with what St Mirren have done this season. And if they can get in that top four, I think they will be in the top six this season. I don't think I'll go into debate about that. I think they'll be in the top six. But if they could potentially get that maybe fourth place, what a season that would be. I think yesterday was one of these games, you're against a top quality Celtic side. I've just mentioned Celtic's bench there. I mean, that was just ridiculous how strong that squad was. So you're not really going to get much at Celtic Park. But in terms of the league, they beat Motherwell on Wednesday. They go fourth. What a chance they've got to really... I hope they don't challenge Hearts, but they've got a chance to put pressure on us. So there's every chance they could easily have a very good season.
And for Ange Postecoglou and the Celtic support, it's business as usual for Celtic, and look forward to the game next week against Aberdeen.
Yeah, definitely. Is that game at Aberdeen or is it Celtic Park?
It's at Celtic Park, not Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah. The way Aberdeen are just now, I can't see anything other than a Celtic win. But definitely it'll be just a case of, dusting down after yesterday, getting yourself prepared for next Saturday, which I think they will probably win quite comfortably. And again, Celtic could make 4 or 5 changes next week and still be very, very strong. So Postecoglou's got a very good side there. A very, very good side. I think the only slight concern will be the injury to Kyogo. I don't know if there's been any word on how he is or not. That looked a painful one, so I don't know if he's going to be fit or not. But that's probably the only slight negative from yesterday was that injury to Kyogo.
Postecoglou says after the game last night that there's going to be an X-ray today, so we'll find out tomorrow. But I think because Celtic's not got a game midweek now for a wee while. In fact, I think the next Celtic midweek game is against Graham's Hearts in a few weeks' time. I think that's in March, actually, at Parkhead. So business as usual for Celtic, but St Mirren, a decent season for them. Just to let you know, the Rangers and Packet Thistle game is about to kick off. They've just came out the tunnel, shaking hands before they kick lumps out of each other. So the Glasgow derby will take place in a minute. Right, so if you want to comment on anything Graham said there, comment, because I've got a couple of comments to pick you up on Mr. Duffy about, first of all, the Super League. but let's get VR out the way first, right? It was a bit harsh last night that the Ritzy take gets sent off, right? And I thought it was a yellow card, to be honest, guys. You didn't think it was a second off, but the time it takes, Graham, it's unbelievable. Now, I don't know if, obviously, you've been to Tynecastle when the VR's get introduced, but we, as in fans, as in media, as in whoever, we don't get to see that decision. We only get to see in the and up in the big monitor VAR penalty check or VR offside check. We don't get to see that. So, do you think that again? Do you think it's a bit unfair?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I've actually not been to Tynecastle since VAR came in. And
Oh,
I'm kind
have
of
you
glad.
not?
I'm kind of glad that I've not, because I'd probably go home at like 10 o'clock at night if they were doing it that way. But yeah, I mean, I think it probably is. I mean, again, all you see is like what it's for. You don't actually see the incident. So until you get home, you don't know what it's for. And again, these things, I keep saying this, but if you're taking more than a minute to see a decision, then that's not clear and obvious. I don't know why that had to take so long yesterday to see that. And again, you go back to what Alan Shearer said about the Arsenal thing yesterday. Yeah. I mean, that took about half an hour. I mean, that's ridiculous. It shouldn't take that long.
But he was surprised at that, Graham, and he's at that where the time it's taken, and I'm saying to myself, well, come up to Scottish football, mate, and you'll see it every week.
But the thing is, England have had VAR for a heck of a lot longer than Scotland have had it, and yet they still managed to make a mess of that yesterday. But I just think the guy in that VR monitor yesterday, I don't know who was in the monitor yesterday, but he should only need to take a look at that once, maybe even twice. Any more than that, he shouldn't be looking at that. Why are you then asking the referee to come and look at that? If you can see that it's a handball, then just tell the referee, do you know, well, that's a penalty. You need to be given that. And I just think the time it takes is far, far too long. And that's the one thing I think that a lot of fans get frustrated about. Because if you're in the stadium, you're no idea what's happening. Again, you said all you can see is what it says in the monitor. You've got no idea what's happening. You've got no idea what's going on. And that's where they've got to make this a lot quicker and a lot easier. I mean, I don't think they'll ever get to a point where they actually show it on the big screen. It would maybe make it better, but then you've got about 60,000 folk at Celtic Park saying, well, that's a penalty, it's a definite penalty. So I just think, I mean, they need to, it's been in here for a while now, you need to iron these things out. And again, I keep talking about this handball rule. I just think, again, yes, that was a penalty yesterday. I don't really think there's any debate about that. But to send the guy off for it when it wasn't deliberate, I just think was very, very harsh.
Sorry, Graham. I'm just looking at the Packet Thistle game and talking about VAR. There is a decision at Ibrox. I don't know if you saw it. Packet Thistle got a free kick, and it was Tavernier wrestled the Packet Thistle player to the ground. I don't know if you actually saw it, but anyway, so that the game is getting play on. There's no penalty at Ibrox for Packet Thistle. So
of course there's not. It's not the other way around. Of course there's not a penalty. Don't be daft. I'm totally impartial. Of course I am.
You can say that, I can't. 2 minutes gone, Thistle now, Rangers now in the big derby there. But Graham, I mean, the point is this, right? The game was on the TV last night, right? The game was on TV today, right? If people are tuning into that from England, how embarrassing is it for Scottish football that they can't make their decisions up? They can't make decisions right away. They've got to take about 4 or 5 minutes. I mean, there was 5 minutes added at the end of the game last night, and that was all for that penalty incident.
Well, if you take into account the substitutions that Celtic would have made, St Mirren would have made, plus that decision as well, they probably could have had about 8 or 9 minutes added on. So I just think, I mean, it does take far, far too long. They have to get this ironed out a lot quicker. If it looks pretty clear and obvious, then that should be a minute at most. It shouldn't take 3-4 minutes to make a decision. And again, I don't know how the referees are using these monitors. Some referees seem to be going to the monitor, some don't, i.e. Willie Collum goes to the monitor to send off the guy, Nicky Clark, last week, but doesn't go to the monitor to send off Ryan Jack. So I just think you've got to make these decisions a lot quicker. Yes, that was a penalty yesterday, but why the referee spent so long looking at that to give a penalty was just ridiculous. But again, it's Scotland. It's not really a surprise because VAR has been an absolute joke so far.
And I know this might be a kind of debate for another show, and in fact, I think it will. I think it would take up 2 hours instead of 5 minutes about the Super League, Graham. Now, I'm going to sit on the fence yet again and say that it's. I wouldn't say it's Celtic and Rangers' fault that they've got more money. I can see that your point, because I feel as though that at the beginning of every season, you're guaranteed Rangers or Celtic or Rangers are going to win the league. The best chance of Hearts or Hibs, sorry for saying that, a cup is like a Scottish Cup or League Cup. But I mean, if you think about the carry on at the moment, about what's going down south, about Man City and all that, and not clearing what they're earning as well. And when you add all that up, it's not really like fair, right? And if Celtic and Rangers goes into the Super League tomorrow, the only people will be losing out is fans. Because if you think about it, I mean, at the moment, if you go to Ibrox or Parkhead, like, I don't know how much the tickets are, but if you go away from home, it's awful expensive. But when you go into the Super League, it'll be 10 times more expensive. So again, that like the fans will be missing out and going to the games as well. And also, I mean, I'm not going on my political soapbox here, but like the cost of living crisis, you've got to take into that as a fact as well. And also, if there's a Super League happening tomorrow, you're guaranteed that won't be on BBC, STV, Channel 5, whatever. It's going to be on Sky or a new channel they've invented. So that's more money that the fans are out of pocket. But I get what you mean about like every season that you're always guaranteed that Celtic or Rangers are going to win the league. But I mean, and the best chance of Hearts and Hibs to win the cup or whoever else is the Scottish Cup or League Cup. But yeah, I mean, as a kind of journalist and also a football fan, I would say it's not really fair because it's not like a level playing field. I mean, take that. I mean, obviously, I'm up in my soapbox here, but like, if say like the Champions League, right, that's technically the Super League, right, because a lot of teams are in that league to make money, right. And another point, I heard somebody saying the other days, when was the last time a Champions League team has won the league, that won the Champions League, i.e., like, if a team wins the league, if a team wins the league, they kind of like won the Champions League in the same season. It's always got to be like like a second or third, fourth team in that league winning the Champions League. So that's not the Champions League. I mean, we could speak about it all day until next Friday, Graham. But I mean, it's just money. It's just people making money, and like the rich are getting richer and the poor getting poorer. So
well, that's the whole reason the Super League got mentioned in the first place last time was to make money. It wasn't anything else but to make money. And the fact you had Arsenal and Tottenham in the Super League, what is that about? What have they ever done? I mean, seriously, I think somebody mentioned that like Spurs being in the Super League was like somebody going into the snooker hall and putting 20p down on the table for next game. What were they doing in the Super League? No chance. Arsenal, never won the Champions League before. What was that about? So it is generally to make money. Newcastle are a bigger club than Arsenal and Spurs at the moment. I mean, it is just to make money, and I'm glad that it got shot down when it happened the last time. I hoped I would never hear the word Super League again, but obviously it's now come up again. I personally don't want it to happen. Listen, if it does, but I don't want it to happen. And I think if Celtic and Rangers were to go in the Super League, fair enough. They're going to make more money. They'll probably get better games. But I genuinely, as a Hearts fan and as someone that wants to see my team winning something, I would be quite happy if Celtic and Rangers didn't exist in this league. I know that's not going to happen, and I know that a lot of folk will turn off because there's no Celtic and Rangers in the league. But I just think if Celtic and Rangers, listen, remember how many years ago we talked about Celtic and Rangers were going to leave the league? A lot of folk back then said, you know what, let them go. Fine, they want to go, let them go. Don't let them back in again, let them go. I would have been well up for that, and I still am now. I just think for me, I want what's best for Hearts, and I want to see us winning the leagues and stuff. I generally, as I said, a lot of folk will say, if Hearts win the league, if Hibs win the league, it's tainted because there's no Celtic and Rangers. I genuinely don't care. I want to see my team winning the leagues. I want to see us winning cups. And if that means, and I said this on Friday, I would be quite happy to extend the league and make it like an 18-team league, or maybe even bigger. Make it a bigger league and have more teams in it. So you're going to different grounds. You're going to like Ayr United. You're going to Dunfermline. You're going to Falkirk, whatever. I'd be happy with that. But if Celtic and Rangers want to leave Scottish football, let them go.
What I was going to say, Graham, is Newcastle. I remember they finished 5th one season and they were in the Champions League. Now, you know what's that? That it's all to make money. My point is they never won the league, so why gigs they getting into the Champions League? So it's just a money making exercise.
But a lot of teams that are in the Champions League have never won the league. Never won the leagues. It happens every season. And James says Champions League is a misnomer. I think I've got that right. As there are teams involved who are not champions in the National League, and that's true. There are numerous teams in that Champions League that have got no right to be in that Champions League because they've never won the leagues before.
It's money.
I think it is all about making money. And I'll be honest, I'm not a Man United fan. I can't stand I'm a Liverpool fan. But I will say that one of the guys that is a big Man United fan that I've heard before, when the whole Super League thing came on, he was totally against it. He hated the idea. And he still is now. And I do quite like that. There are fans out there that they just don't want the Super League. I think it was done very badly the last time. There was a lot of protests, and quite rightly so. And as I say, I genuinely thought, and I hoped I would never hear the word Super League again, but it has come back up. I don't know if it'll ever happen. I hope it doesn't, because I think it's a bad idea. And as you said, it is about making money. That's all it's about. It's about making money.
I might have to disagree with you, Graham. Short caller here, right? But I might have to disagree with you because you and by the way, we will get back to talking about the games in a minute, right? But I would disagree with you there, Graham, because you were saying about the you know, if it was up to you, you would get rid of Celtic and Rangers. But when we speak about Livingston and not a lot of fan base, and when Celtic sell out Livingston and McDermott Park, I would maybe kind of argue the case that Celtic and Rangers, and possibly Hearts to a certain extent, keeps St Mirren, Livingston, St Johnstone, teams like that in business. Because they're not coming every week. Maybe they're coming twice a year and maybe once in the Cup or something, the Scottish Cup or League Cup. But they're selling their away allocation out very, very quickly. And I mean, you saw it the other week in the Scottish Cup. I mean, Kilmarnock's not been in the League Cup semi-final. Kilmarnock's not been a Hampden for about 10 years, and they only sold 10,000 tickets.
I mean, if you look at St Johnstone, look at the crowd they had for the European game against Galatasaray. That's probably one of the biggest St Johnstone crowds they've had at home for a while. I think Livingston as well, there was I'm sure it was either League Cup or Scottish Cup final anyway. But Livingston played St Johnstone. Was that maybe the COVID Cup final? I can't mind. But I think if Rangers and Celtic were to leave the league, I guarantee Hearts fans would quite easily fill out St Johnstone. They would fill out Livingston. Hibs fans would do the same. And I actually think you would probably get more St Johnstone Livingston fans to come to the games because they think, do you know what? It's a level playing field now. There is no Celtic Rangers. We've actually got a chance of winning the league now. Everybody has an equal chance of winning the league if Celtic and Rangers are not in it. So I think it's actually a very good chance for somebody else to win the league. Aberdeen potentially, again, could win the league. I just think what a chance you've got for other teams to win the league. I know that what will probably happen if Celtic and Rangers were to leave the league, what will probably happen is you'll find that Sky would pull out of the deal because there's no Celtic and Rangers in the league.
Yeah.
That's what it is, what it is. You've still got fan channels and that you can watch games on. But I just think what a chance for other teams to actually have a chance to win a league, win cups, get European football. It would be amazing. And it's never going to happen with Celtic and Rangers in the league because of the money they've got, the quality they've got, the fan base they've got. It's never going to happen.
It was a COVID season, Graham. What were you on about St Mirren winning the double? And
St Johnstone.
Yeah, St John. Yeah, that was and Hearts and Hibs. I'm sure that was that not the semi-final? And I can always remember Craig
Hearts
Gordon.
played Celtic in the final.
Aye, and I can always remember. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and Hearts and they beat Celtic.
They should have beaten Celtic. Gutted about those penalties. Still haunts me to this day.
Right, now Venneberg could beat Celtic that season, but I remember in the semi-final. Yeah, but I remember in that season, Craig Gordon made a brilliant saves against Hibs in the semi-final.
Yeah, that was a good day. Watching it in the house, having a few pints, watching that game was fun. Hey, Azzelino's back on. Afternoon, gent. Sorry, I missed earlier. Well, that's shocking. Report card for you next time.
Well, you've got to go back and watch the show back. Yeah, but if you're late getting the shows, email us and tell us why you're late. We only get a reason, don't we, Graham? Because we're off a script on the show.
And the thing is, we've just spoke about St Mirren. It's just missed the best part.
Yeah. So we said St Mirren's going to win the league. What else could we say about them? We said Mark O'Hara's a brilliant football player. We basically covered everything there. So
that James has just basically made my point for me. Celtic and Rangers were to leave, they could still have teams in Scotland that would be capable of dominating domestically, though it would be a closer contest. So is he maybe talking about like Celtic B teams or Rangers B teams?
Yeah.
So I mean they could potentially still have a team in Scotland, but I think it would be, as James said, it would be a closer contest. You've got teams that could potentially win the league, which I think would be great. It's never going to happen, I know, but it would be great if it did. Yeah,
no, I could see both sides of the kind of argument, Graham, but I think of the day, it's about money. Is that what I used to say?
It's still Rangers 0, Partick Thistle 0 at Ibrox. So about 20 minutes gone so far. The Rangers, as you'd expect, dominating possession, but to be fair to Partick, defending very well so far.
Yeah, no, they are. Yeah, no much in the game. But as you say, no. We might come back to that subject about the Super League because that's quite interesting and probably get other fans involved in it as well. But I think...
Yeah, well, as Azzelino's just said, there's a talk of the two big Glasgow teams leaving the Scottish League again. We were talking about the fact that this European Super League has come back up again, Azzelino, and there's obviously talk that Rangers and Celtic might be in that. And my point is that if Rangers and Celtic were to leave, I think it would be a good thing for Scottish football. I don't know if you would agree with that or not, but it's just obviously my kind of thoughts on that.
So yeah, we might come back to that, and also we might come back to the subject of the cost of living in sport. I think that's a very interesting subject as well. Anyway, let's go back to what we're here to talk about: football. You might find that hard to understand because the last 20 minutes we spoke about everything off the park, but we've got to speak about on the park now.
See, we like to go on tangents on this show.
Yeah, we do, yeah. Oh, 7 o'clock regularly, remember, Lines. That's wonderful. So let's speak about Hearts and Hamilton. That seems like days ago that game was. Well, it was days ago. It was Friday night, 2-0 to Hearts. You would say Hearts were very kind of comfortable in the first half, but I mean, they lost away a bit in the second half, and Devlin scored the goal, and that kind of put Hearts through to the quarterfinals. But what was your take out of that game, Graham, from a Hearts point of view?
I think the word that we used to describe that was professional. I thought first half we were absolutely dominant. We started the game the way I hoped we would. We started on the front foot, very, very comfortable. I thought Robert Snodgrass in midfield dominated the game. I thought Barry Mackay had a lot of good moments. And I think the only disappointing thing in the first half was the game wasn't done, because I thought Humphreys could have had a hat-trick. Stephen Kingsley puts a great cross in. Humphreys heads it straight at the goalkeeper. I think he should score. He has a volley at the back post again, just over. I think, again, he should do better. And then he does get the goal, on his left foot. Really good move again. Lovely ball from Barry McKay to Giannelli. Giannelli plays it to Humphreys on his left foot. I think Ross Fulton, the goalkeeper, disappointed that he hasn't saved that. He's beat him at his front post. He probably should do better. But first half, I thought Hearts were excellent. Very, very dominant. Hamilton really couldn't get near us. As I said, Robert Snodgrass completely controlled the tempo of that game. And we were very comfortable. Second half was very different. Clearly, John Rankin's gone on at half-time quite happy it's only 1-0. And he said to his team, you need to press higher up. You need to get higher up the pitch and get into Robert Snodgrass's face and start pressing Hearts a bit higher up the pitch. And they did that. They started to cause a lot more problems. A couple of decent chances, a couple of snapshots. It's not Alexander Clark was particularly overworked. Did a couple of saves to make down low, but nothing major. And we, as you said it there, we lost our way. We didn't have anywhere near the same authority in the second half. Snodgrass fell out the game again. We bring on Cammy Devlin. For me, I thought the substitution was wrong at the time because he took off Humphreys, who was our focal point. I thought that was a poor decision. I thought taking off George Grant, who was injured, fair enough. But he then brings on Alan Forrest to play in his position, which didn't work. I thought Forrest was terrible when he came on. But then we get the second goal, and it's Cammy Devlin, Cammy Devlin scoring the most Cammy Devlin type of goal you'll ever see. To be fair, Alan Forrest, he does well, because he gets the ball on the left-hand side, keeps it in, good ball in. And to be fair to Devlin, he's followed his run. And then he slide tackles it into the net. That's what I mean about a Cammy Devlin type of goal. That's what Cammy Devlin does. He's a buzz bomb. He works his socks off, and I thought he did well when he came on. And then after that, you could tell the stuff was not at Hamilton. There was no chance of getting back in that game. Hearts then started to dominate the game. Snodgrass got back on the ball again. Devlin controlled the game. And after that, it became very, very comfortable. Very, very comfortable. And, I said on Friday that I just wanted us to be in the draw. We are now. So, yeah, I think I would say very, very professional. But I will say that Hamilton's second half, they, for me, are a far better side than what their league position shows. Bottom of the championship, I thought second half they were far, far better. And if they can keep playing like that for the rest of the season, then they should be okay. But first half, I don't know if the occasion got overawed. Actually, I think John Rankin said they couldn't open up in the first half because they just played on Wednesday night there in the Cup and extra time and stuff. So that's probably why. But yeah, they were much better second half. But Hearts, for me, very, very professional and a decent win against a hard team. That game was on TV because they thought there could be a shock. Thankfully, there wasn't.
And we just spoke about, we just spent about the last 20 minutes speaking about the fans and all that. A decent atmosphere in Friday night and a brilliant away support from Hearts.
Yeah, Hearts took 4,000 fans there. Absolutely brilliant atmosphere, fantastic. The only thing I will say, and the only slight negative I will say, is stop throwing pyros onto the pitch. It's pointless. Why are you doing it?
Especially in the plastic park.
Yeah, now what's going to happen is Hearts are going to probably get fined for that. So stop doing it. Yes, be happy you score a goal, but stop bringing pyros into the game and stop chucking them on the pitch after a goal because it's pointless. It holds up the game. It obviously wrecks the pitch, and we're going to get fined for it. So stop doing it. That's the only negative I would say. But apart from that, I thought the fans were fantastic.
Yeah, no, it was a good game. And to be honest, I know you spoke about Hamilton, but I mean, I'm quite surprised that Hamilton sitting bottom of that championship because, I mean, they're kind of like a decent team, Graham,
Yeah, and Azzelino's right. There's no glory for the Premier League team if they knock out a championship team, just relief. And I think, to be fair, that's actually very true. Yeah. That's why they show these games on TV, because they hope there's going to be a cup shock. That's why Friday night's game was on TV, because they thought, Hamilton Hearts could be a potential shock here. So, yeah, I mean, if you're a Premier League side, you can't win. You win, you're expected. You get beat, it's a shock. So you can't really win. And all Hearts could do was be professional. Just get the job done. Make sure you're in the draw on Monday. And we are. And, yeah, I mean, again, I thought Hamilton second half were very, very good. They showed a lot more in the second half, and they really gave us a lot of problems. And the second goal knocked the stuffing out of them. Because up until that point, they looked more likely to score. As I say, they weren't really testing Xander Clark that much, but they were they were just pressing high up the pitch. They were not allowing Snodgrass the same time he had in the first half, because if you allow Robert Snodgrass to dominate a game, as we've seen numerous times, then he will. And Barry Mackay, first half was very good. Second half, he fell out of the game. Josh Ginnelly, first half was decent. He fell out of the game. So you've got to give credit to Hamilton. Hamilton, as I said earlier, they are a lot better than the league position shows.
Yeah, no, and basically what you're saying, Graham, is get off Robbie Nielsen's back, because he's doing a decent job there.
Well, this is the thing, right? Robbie's probably been the most successful manager we've had since George Burley in a short spell.
Yeah.
Now he gets the job not in terms of winning the cup, but in 2014 he gets the job when Hearts go down. Now at the time, I thought I'm not sure about that because he's inexperienced, but he gets brought in. He gets us out of Championship with Rangers and Hibs in it. First time I've asked him, hammers the Championship. He comes up, we get third in the league. When he leaves, we were second. When he leaves, he goes to MK Dons, we were second. We then fall apart after that. We bring in Cathro, it fails. We bring in Levine to clean up the mess that he made, it fails. We bring in Daniel Stendel, it fails. We then bring back Robbie, which again at the time I wasn't sure about because I thought maybe not a great idea given your past record that Hearts fans just don't like you. But he gets us back up from the Championship again, although it wasn't great. We then finish third last season. We get to a cup final. We knock out Hibs again. And now we're sitting third in the league. We're in the quarterfinal of the cup. Robbie's actually been a very successful manager for Hearts, but there are still, as I said on Friday, there are still some Hearts fans who just won't take him. But he has probably been our most successful manager for a long time. Probably actually, forget George Burley. Probably since Jim Jeffries. Now, Jim Jeffries won the Scottish Cup. If Robbie can win the Scottish Cup this season, that would be fantastic. But the job that he's done has been brilliant. And I, again, last night, I did a my Twitter space for a Hearts chat about a Hamilton game. And I did say, be careful what you wish for. Because if Robbie Nielsen goes, we could go back to the way again. And I don't want that to happen.
A chance there for Rangers. Yanis Hagji was the head gig, is going wide of the post. Still, Rangers now, Thistle now, 25 minutes gone of the game. And it's quite an open game, Graham. It's kind of end to end.
Yeah, I was going to say, to be fair to Hamilton, to be fair to Partick, they're not sitting back. They're trying to have a goal. And I think that's what you've got to do. When you're playing cup football, you may as well have a go. It's a one-off game. Why not have a go? I think Partick have actually done very well.
I think that's the difference. What I was saying to you earlier on, Graham, about teams coming to Ibrox and Parkhead and sit behind the ball. But in cup football, they've only got one chance. On this, out. You saw that with Millen last night in parts of the game, and you're seeing it here with Packet Thistle. They've only got one chance or else they're out the cup, and I would like to see that more and more often.
There's a lot of Premier League teams should be ashamed of the way that they play going to Celtic Park and Ibrox, and I include my team in that. Partick Thistle are giving a good account of themselves. They're knocking the ball about really well. They're having a go. They're not sitting back and defending. There's a lot of Premier League teams should be looking at this thinking, why don't we do that more often? Because that's what you should be doing. If a team like Partick Thistle can do this, then you should be able to do it as well.
I'm thinking about maybe Ross Kent and Livingston, Graham, and as well. But let's before we preview the game tomorrow night, and I know we spoke about it on Friday night, but we'll give one more shout out for tomorrow night. Let's speak about Ayr United and Elgin City. I was saying tongue in cheek to you on Friday that this was a tie of the round, and I was nearly right, Graham, because Ayr United was getting beat 1-0 up until what was it, two minutes to go, and then Ayr United turned it around to win 4-1 after extra time.
I felt so sorry for Elgin City. They were brilliant. Kane Hester. Robbie spoke about Kane Hester on Friday. He scores the goal. And he probably could have had a couple more goals. I thought Elgin, for most of that game, were fantastic. They should have had the game won. They had a couple of really good chances, especially the second half. Hester snatches at a chance, had the chance as well late on in the game. And if they just could have got that second goal that they deserved, then they'd have been through. I felt so sorry for them losing that goal as late on as they did. It was a real gut-wrencher. Ryan Bryden, it's a decent finish, but so heartbreaking for Elgin City because they put so much into that game. You know, they're 2 leagues below Ayr United, and yet they were excellent. You know, they really can hold their heads up really high. I think Gavin Price, the manager, has done a great job there. And he said on the TV last night that he's really proud of the team and he's got every right to be because they were fantastic. And then once the game goes to extra time, you could just see that Elgin were out on their feet because they put so much into the game. And in the end, you know, the penalty that gets given, it probably was a penalty. Brian Dempsey scores it. And then the double from Deepo Akinyemi, who looked very frustrated during the game. He missed a few chances before that and he looked very frustrated, but he does eventually score. And in the end, 4-1 for me is very, very harsh on Elgin City because they put so much into the game. And I think just that was just due to tiredness. That's all that was. They were just exhausted.
I think if you were watching that great game, Graham, on highlights, you wouldn't know the difference. Or you would see that you would think that Elgin City was in the same league as Ayr United because you couldn't tell them apart.
No, absolutely. I mean, I was thinking that yesterday watching the game. You know, if you were a neutral watching that, you were thinking Elgin City must be in the Championship because they looked a very, very good side. I thought they were very impressive. You know, Kane Hester's on a great run of form. Probably no surprise he scored the goal. It was a good finish as well. And I just felt so sorry for Elgin City. It was such a sickening at the end because I'm sitting there watching the results coming through thinking, oh, Elgin City in the quarterfinal of the Scottish Cup. That would be amazing. But they just couldn't do it. Just that last minute goal from, you know, the last minute from Ryan Bryden. But fair play to United. United are through. You know, they'll be looking forward to the draw tomorrow. But I just feel so gutted for Elgin because they put so much into that game.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think that's what we were saying in the Scottish Cup game. You're right, when TV cameras goes to re-ground the Ayr United, or maybe if the game was up in Elgin City.
A really good chance for Partick Thistle there. A free kick from Turner about 30 yards out. It's a really good effort round the wall. And a good save from McGregor. I'll tell you what, I think Partick Thistle have been fantastic here so far.
Yeah.
They probably could be ahead.
If he didn't see that, McGregor, that was a goal, Grim.
Yeah, it's a really good save. He must have seen that late. But Partick Thistle, again, the numbers are getting forward. For a team that plays in the Championship, maybe not been on the greatest form, they're showing a really good appetite for this. They've been excellent so far. And there's a chance. What a save from McGregor again. Partick Thistle have been absolutely fantastic so far. They really, really have been.
Yeah, Ian McCall's a decent manager, Grim.
He is. I mean, some Partick fans are still maybe not convinced by him. I know there's been a lot of stuff about Partick behind the scenes, but here today, they've been excellent this first half. They've shown a lot of energy. They've shown a lot of desire, a lot of passion. And again, as you mentioned earlier on, rightly so, they're not sitting back. They're having a go.
Yeah. See that's what I like about cup football, as I said. I know I said this a few times, but you would rather see them coming out and having a goal than just sitting in for the whole game because it spoils a game.
Yeah, I mean, it is making it a very good game. And I think the Rangers fans are getting very frustrated because they've not been great. I mean, I think if you're going to say just now who looks the better team, I'd have to say Partick Thistle.
Yeah. I think Rangers only had one chance, and that was Giannis Hadji header. And apart from that, it's all been Partick Thistle. But as you said, that they've been defending in the numbers as well, but it's got a long way to go, Grim.
I mean, Alan McGregor's been the better goalkeeper. He's made two very good saves there. I think we're just seeing the second one again.
It was a brilliant save, yeah.
A great knock on, really good save, and really good save there from McGregor. So he has been the far better goalkeeper. I think there was a slight claim for a handball in there, actually. I don't know. Yeah, there was a slight claim for a handball in there. I don't think it's not been given, but there was a claim. I don't know if it was against Cholak. Well, it's getting checked, actually. It's getting checked.
It was Cholak.
This is a penalty. The referee's gone to the monitor. This is going to be a penalty here, I think.
VR check handball.
This is a big one. Yeah, it's a header down.
It's a penalty, I think, Graham, because he's gone to the
it's a header down. It does hit Cholak's hand, which is outstretched. I think that's a penalty. The referee, for me, has to give this. He's gone to the monitor. He has to give this. If he sees this, he has to give it. Header down. It's headed into the arm of Cholak, which is outside. It is out with his body. It looks to me like that. Looks to me like a penalty. I don't know what the referee is going to do, but yeah, it's a penalty. Penalty kick to Partick Thistle, and they deserve it. They've been excellent so far.
They've been
really,
the better,
really impressive.
Better team with them.
I mean, I have to say, fair play to the referee. He's gone to the monitor. He's seen it's a penalty. He's given a penalty at Ibrox. It's not for Rangers. Fair play to the referee. Well done.
Is James Kavanagh going to take it? No.
unless he changes his strip. But yeah, I mean, it just, for me, Partick Thistle deserve that. It doesn't matter how it's come about. They deserve that. I mean, Cholak's arm is outstretched. It does hit his arm. It is a penalty. So there's no debate. And the referee has to give that.
We'll maybe keep with this until the penalty has been taken.
I'm just looking who's taking it. I'm not entirely sure. I can't see who it is that's taking it. I mean, what a chance for Partick Thistle to get 1-0 up at Ibrox in a game that I think they've been very, very impressive. It's a big, big chance for Partick Thistle here. And they've scored 1-0 to Partick Thistle. 1-0 to Partick Thistle.
Oof. Could there be a shock?
It's no more than they deserve.
Could there be a shock in the cards there? A long way to go, but I'll give Partick Thistle a bit of a lift. I mean, because we're only about 50 minutes away from half time as well, Graham.
The goal scorer is Kevin Holt. Very good penalty. Sends McGregor the wrong way. Excellent penalty. You know, the nerves to take that at Ibrox at the Copeland Road end against Alan McGregor, who's been excellent so far. Fair play to Kevin Holt. It's a great penalty. And again, I'm watching it again. There's no debate. It's a penalty. Definite penalty. And well played, Kevin Holt.
We'll see what Rangers are made of now, Graham. And it'll be interesting because if I'm not mistaken, under Michael Beale's tenure, this is the first time Rangers has went behind.
Yeah, and apart from the game against Hearts last week, which Hearts were dreadful, and I don't actually think Rangers have been that impressive. They've been winning games, but they've not been overly impressive. And now, behind a championship team who have been excellent, there's no debate on that. Partick have been absolutely excellent. Now, if Partick Thistle were defending deep before, they'll be even deeper now because they've got something to hold on to.
Yeah, and now, just because we were saying, Graham, don't park the bus, they might park the bus now because they're 1 up. But I mean, going into half time, I mean, if it stays 1-0 at half time, Partick Thistle's going to get a big lift from that one.
100%. And you've got to be, if you're a Partick Thistle player, if you're Ian McCall, you've got to be delighted at how you're doing. They've been absolutely fantastic. Azulino always think getting 1 up on Rangers means you have a real chance. It does. Yeah. And the way that Partick have played, that goal is not a fluke. They've deserved that goal. Yes, it comes from a penalty, but they've deserved that goal. They've been in the front foot. They've created chances. They've been really dangerous when they came forward. So it's not a surprise that 1-0 up.
And McGregor's pulled off 2 brilliant saves, Graham, before that goal as well.
Yeah, as I've said, he's been busier than the Partick Thistle goalkeeper, which you wouldn't expect. You know, Partick Thistle, you wouldn't expect Partick Thistle at Ibrox to be testing McGregor more than the other way around. So, yeah, I just think Partick Thistle, I keep on saying this, I think Partick have been absolutely fantastic.
You would expect that for Hillgrim, but not Ibrox in front of 50,000.
Yeah, well, it's not Ibrox for thrills for Rangers just now, but it's certainly for Partick Thistle. They've honestly been fantastic, defending very, very well. Rangers just can't really find a foothold in the game. Hadji's crossing at the box, good defending again. Yeah, Partick are defending very well as well.
And I'll tell you what, Graham, Partick has brought a decent support with them as well.
Yeah, they have. They're playing some decent stuff as well. They're playing some really good football as well. You know, they're getting the ball forward, they're snapping at the tackle. Scott Tiffany's been excellent so far.
I mean, if they can just hold this league to half-time, Graham.
Yeah, I mean, you would have to think that Rangers will probably make some kind of change at half-time. They've got quality on the bench, but I mean, Partick, honestly, as a Hearts fan, I'm embarrassed about how we play at Ibrox because this is the way you should be playing. This is how you should play every time you go to these games. Go on the front foot, press them, get in their faces, because Rangers don't like it. They don't like, I was going to use our Dad's Army phrase there, they don't like it up them. Get in their faces, have a go.
Yeah, all the way from Glasgow to Glasgow. Yeah, they were going to have to get any supporters buses there. Just walk across the Craig or maybe swim across the Craig to say that one. We'll keep an eye on that one. 10 minutes to half time. Rangers now pack at Thistle 1. Let's speak about the last game tomorrow night, Graham. Quarter to tick off. Darvel against Falkirk on BBC.
Yeah, I mean, what an occasion this is going to be for Darvel. If you thought the Aberdeen game was a big one, this will be even bigger now. A chance to get to a quarter final. And I think if you're Mick Kennedy, you'll be looking forward to this game. I think he is. And what a chance they've got, to cause another potential cup shock. I think if you're Falkirk, this is a game that probably comes with a lot of trepidation because you saw what happened in the last round. You can't take Darvel lightly, and I know that Falkirk won't. But I said this on Friday, I just have this feeling that I think Darvel might win this as well.
Would this be a bigger shock than the Aberdeen game, or would it be up there? Or because I don't think it would be much of a it would be a shock, but not as big as the Aberdeen.
No, there's nothing. I don't think unless they were to beat Rangers and Celtic in a final, nothing's going to be a bigger shock than that game. I think this game will be up there, but to beat Aberdeen, a Premier League side of their standing, to beat them in the way they did it, that's far, far bigger. So I think it'll be a shock, but it won't be quite as big as what they did in the previous round. But I think the fact the game is at home as well, and again, they'll expect a big crowd, and I think there probably will be quite a big expectation now in Darvel that they could win this game as well. And why not? After what they did in the last round, why not? I think Falkirk have been in a decent run though, so it will be difficult. But I said this on Friday, and I will repeat it again. I think if you were watching Mick Kennedy's team talk on TV at the Aberdeen game, you would run through brick walls for him. And I think what he's done is fantastic. I think Darvel could win this game tomorrow. I think it'll be difficult, but I think Darvel could win this game. And again, if you're a Falkirk fan, you can't really win because you're expected to win. But if you don't, then again it's a shock. So you can't win if you're a Falkirk fan. But this is a huge game, and I'm actually I'm gonna give credit to BBC here because well done for showing this game live as well. Because you could have easily said, you know what, they've had their turn, they've won the last round, that's fine. But to show them again, I think it's great for Darvel. Fantastic. Be a decent game, I think.
I think that if you were the Darvel chairman, I think if they get to the quarterfinal game, and I use the word if, the TV cameras will follow them about until Darvel gets knocked out. And by the way, before you answer that one, I like how Jameson Darvel for the cup. Yeah, I say again, flagging like Darvel and Ayr United. That's a Scottish Cup final for me this season. And by the way, before anybody comments, yes, it's only a joke because I know there's some serious people out there. A bit like me and you, Glenn.
Me? Serious? Never.
I was trying to build you up there, but okay.
Build me up, Buttercup. No, I just think for Darvel, I mean, what an occasion this is going to be. Another. I don't know if they'll be disappointed that it's another Monday night game, but it'll be a big occasion again. TV cameras are there. It'll be a huge occasion. And if, as you mentioned, if they were to get to a quarter final, I mean, what an incredible occasion that would be. I don't know if they were to get, like, just say, for example, they got Celtic at Darvel. If they win, obviously. I don't know if they'd have to switch the game because there won't be a big enough crowd. I'm not sure how that would work or if they could have it at Darvel. But what an occasion that would be. Darvel in a cup quarter final would be absolutely incredible. And why not? There's every chance they could do it.
I mean, even if they get an away game to Celtic or Ayr United, as I said, Graham, okay, it's not at the home ground, but they're still getting money off of the TV.
Exactly. I mean, they've now had 2 TV games. They probably only expected one because they probably didn't expect to get through that game against Aberdeen.
That would do them for the rest of the season. Well, going into next season, Graham.
Probably, yeah. And if they play with the same kind of passion and fight they did against Aberdeen, there's every reason they could do exactly the same with Falkirk. Falkirk have been in a decent run in League One. They're, again, I always look at Falkirk and think they're a Premier League side, like I do with Dunfermline, like I do with Hamilton. But, they're not, so they're only in name. But it's a massive occasion for Darvel and for Falkirk as well. They don't want to be on the end of a cup shock. So it's going to be a massive, massive occasion. And I genuinely hope, and I hope there's no Falkirk fans watching this, I generally hope that Derby will win because I would love to see Derby in a quarter-final. It would be incredible. And again, for Mick Kennedy, who I think is a very, very good manager, it would be fantastic if they got to a quarter-final.
Talking about cup shocks, Graham, we're on the way to one, well, half-time anyway now. Rangers 0, Packet Thistle 1, and Graham, Packet Thistle's playing well. They're not given any time for Rangers to get into the game, and I don't know about you, but if I was a Packet Thistle fan, I wouldn't want to go in at half-time.
No, I mean, they're playing very, very well. They're causing Rangers a lot of problems. I think Brian Graham's been really good up front so far. He's been booked for a foul as well. But they're competing very, very well. They're not really giving Rangers any time. Rangers tend to like to play the ball out wide. They like to get the likes of Tavernier on the ball. They like to get the ball wide on the left to Ryan Kent and stuff. But they're not getting that time and space. You're looking at it now. Anytime Rangers player gets the ball, Partick are right in their faces. Really good free kick, giving it really good free kick. Good play again from Partick Thistle. They've been excellent. I mean, I'll be honest, they're not showing any fear. They're treating this like a Scottish Cup game. They're getting right in Rangers' faces and they're making life very uncomfortable.
I think half-time's got to come at a bad time for Packet Thistle, and saying that half-time might come for a good time for Rangers.
Yeah, I think Michael Beale needs to get his team in at half-time and read the riot act a little bit because they've really not been at it, but you've got to give credit to Partick. They've been excellent.
Maybe they're going to hire David Martindale.
Azalino says, I think Falkirk will win because they are more used to this level and they're in good form in the league. James Elliott says, Aberdeen wanted their game v Darvel moved to a bigger ground, but the Darvel chairman insisted it played at home, which is the right idea. Why should they move it? They're at home. Why would you want to move it?
2 minutes, Aggie gone at the end of the first half. Sorry, Graham. 2 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, if Partick can hold out here, it would be a fantastic first half for them. Can they build on that second half? It'll be interesting to see what the team talk is from McCall. Do you try and go again or do you a bit more reserved? It's going to be very, very difficult team talk for Ian McCall, but what our first half they've been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, no, exactly. We'll keep an eye on that one. 1-0 to Packet Thistle. And I mean, people will say, well, okay, Packet Thistle got a penalty, but quite a few decent chances, and McGregor get called into action by that free kick and the shot just before the goal, Graham. So,
Yeah, and I'm watching Michael Beale on the touchline there. Looks very frustrated. Nothing's really coming off for Rangers just now, but I will keep going back to it. You've got to give credit to Partick, and actually, you're right. I've just looked at the monitor. That Partick Thistle away support is absolutely superb. I don't know how many they've taken, but that's a brilliant, brilliant support. And they must be that's a terrible challenge. That's a really poor challenge from Barisic. He's going right through the back. I mean, surely that's got to be a booking. He's gone right through the back. That's a terrible challenge from Barisic.
Yeah, no, exactly. We've got about 10 minutes left on the show. I wanted to touch upon that famous win for Scotland yesterday, Graham, in the Six Nations. They beat Wales 35-7 in the game at Murrayfield, Galway-Zeeberg. David Ferguson on the show on Friday night, but what a win for Scotland.
Oh, absolutely incredible. They were playing for the Doddy Weir Cup, and I'm sure the big man's up there smiling down because that was a fantastic performance. You can't ask for any better than that. 5 tries, Turner, 2 from Steen, 1 from Kinghorn, 1 from Fagerson. And the standout was Finn Russell. He's the first Scotland player to get 3 hat-trick of assists in our Six Nations. He was fantastic. Scotland were sensational. Some of the rugby they played, I mentioned this in the group chat last night and on Twitter. Some of the rugby that they played was sensational. Some of the tries were very impressive, and Wales just couldn't really get near us. I was surprised in the end how easy that turned out to be. You've had 2 kind of different games. You've had the England game last week, a very different atmosphere, very passionate. You've had that fantastic try from Duan van der Meer last week. This was a very different game. Scotland really were very, very dominant. A very, very good crowd again. Welsh fans obviously gutted, but yeah, Scotland were phenomenal. Absolutely brilliant. And as I said, to be playing for the Doddy Weir Cup, and when you watch them coming out at the start as well, I think it was Rob Wainwright in that, and the Doddy Weir tartan, and I think David Ferguson actually had that on his background on Friday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was very emotional. It was a very, very good performance. And, you know, for Big Doddy Weir up there, what a fantastic win for an absolutely fantastic guy as well.
I don't know if you saw any of the newspapers today, Graham, but there's a picture of it with the Scottish team lifting the cup. And basically, it was the captain, James Ritchie, pointing to the sky as if to say, "This is for you, big man," and that was nice to see.
100%, it was absolutely fantastic. And James Elliott says, "Best Scottish rugby team I've seen in years, so strong and skillful." And he's right, and there was a lot of good skill in that game yesterday. I mean, some of the tries were fantastic. As I say, Finn Russell just phenomenal. That was probably one of his best games for Scotland, actually. And only thing missing was a try from him. But yeah, Scotland were, you can see right for the start they were up for this game. You can see what it meant to them. And I think probably the Doddy Weir thing probably did play a part in that.
Yeah.
I think they would have come out exactly the same anyway, but I think the fact that they were playing for that Doddy Weir Cup and what it meant to them, and they played with passion, they played with skill, desire, hunger, energy, just everything about Scotland yesterday was absolutely superb. And to be honest, there was no chance Wales were winning that game because Scotland were so dominant.
Just to update you on the score, I don't know if this is finished or not. England 31, Italy 14 in the game today, and also that the other game yesterday was Ireland 32, Wales 19. Yeah, I was saying to David Ferguson on Friday, Graham, do you not think that I added more spice to the game for the Scotland players to more motivation for the team to go and win that cup for Doddy Weir?
Yeah, I think it probably did. You know, you can see what it meant to them. The way they walked out on that pitch, know what it meant. I'm playing for that Doddy Weir Cup, and you know, everyone who's maybe watched the show before knows that me and David Ferguson did a show about Doddy Weir for about 40 minutes, and there was I obviously don't know Doddy Weir. I never knew the guy. I wish I did, but David Ferguson does, and the stories that he told about Doddy Weir were fantastic. What a character he was, what a great guy he was, and everyone you hear said what a great guy he was, and I'm sure that he was watching down on that yesterday, thinking, "Yeah, this is Scotland. This is what I know and remember," because they were brought to a man. They were all brilliant yesterday. You can see what it meant to them right at the end of the game as well. You know, it meant a lot to them, and the Scotland fans as well. They were emotional as well. And I just think right for the start, Scotland were so dominant, really up for it. And I just think it was probably the worst game that Wales could have had. Playing against a Scotland team that wanted to win that game and wanted to do it for such a guy like Doddy Weir. There was just no chance Wales were winning that game. And as James has talked about, you know, the skill that Scotland showed yesterday, some of the tries were just phenomenal tries. And Scotland now look a very good side. And I said this after the England game. There is no reason that Scotland can't win the Six Nations, and we've given ourselves a chance now. 2 wins out of 2. Who would have seen that coming? And I think you actually said it at the start of the show before we came on air, and I think you're right. I think the fact that there isn't a game next week for momentum, I think it's probably a big blow now until the next game, which don't play until I think it's the 26th of February.
Where we play at home.
We play France away. So the ties are on the 25th of February, Italy against Ireland and Wales against England. And then we play France on the Sunday. I mean, that's going to be a huge game. That could be a potential title decider, that. But again, just yesterday's game was just so impressive. And as Lino says, Finn nails every kick when the pressure is on. As soon as it didn't matter, he missed one. Yes, that's just the way it goes. But Russell was brilliant yesterday. You know, as I said, a hat-trick of assists. And he's just such a class player. And I hope now that folk that maybe weren't behind Gregor Townsend before are fully backing him now, because he's done a phenomenal job with Scotland.
Can we start believing, Graham? I know we get carried away with ourselves. I mean, look at Andy Murray in the tennis and when the Davis Cup. He won the gold medal and he won the Wimbledon title as well. But can we start believing for Scotland to win the Six Nations?
To use a song by a band that I love, Journey, Don't Stop Believing. I think there's every chance we can. There's absolutely no question. I think that, for example, Ireland and France have been looking at that game yesterday now thinking, I don't want to be playing Scotland. The form that they're in, I do not want to be playing them. They've gone to Twickenham and won with that fantastic try from Van der Merwe, which everyone's still talking about. They've just hammered Wales, and that could have been more. If you're Ireland and France, you do not want to play Scotland now. And that is... For a long time, that's not been the case. A lot of teams have looked at Scotland as cannon fodder. It's not the case now. Teams are looking at Scotland and taking us seriously, which I think is testament to Gregor Townsend and the work that he's done. And it's testament to the players as well. You know, Finn Russell's been fantastic. Van der Meer's been really good. I think Townsend's brought a lot of players into the squad that just seem to get what it means to play for Scotland. And as I say, on the back of that, to win the Dodderweir Cup yesterday, on the back of the Calcutta Cup last week, if you can't believe now, when will you ever believe?
And I think as well that when Scotland hopefully wins the Six Nations when we're sitting here in a few weeks' time, do you think that they'll inspire more people to take up the game? Because I know when Andy Murray won tennis, a lot of people, started playing tennis.
Yeah, potentially. My lad is going to be 11 this month, and he is predominantly football. I think he's tried to play rugby at school and stuff, but it's not really his sport. I mean, my lad, I love the wee boy a bit, but he's not a physical person. He's not really likes to get kind of knocked about a lot, so there's no point in him playing rugby. But I think there's a lot of folk that probably will be looking at it thinking, that's the sport that I'd quite like to play now. And yeah, I think it will inspire a lot of people now to go and play rugby. It's probably the same as when Scotland were in the Euros. There's probably a lot of people now have tried maybe to start picking up football now because of that. So it does, these things do inspire a nation, and you can see what it meant to the Scotland people yesterday. Murrayfield was packed, and it was great. And I spoke again about the fact that I've only ever been to one rugby game, and that was Scotland-Wales. And it's a brilliant atmosphere. And yesterday looked exactly the same. And the fact that Scotland played so well, the fact we were so dominant, and the fact that we won it so comfortably was absolutely fantastic.
It's written in the stars, but Graham, if Scotland wins it, then and also Doggy Weir kind of like passing away towards the end of the year, and Scotland winning the Six Nations, that's going to make for a good story. And also you've got the World Cup in September. I think I was saying on Friday as well. Yeah,
the stat that Azlina just said, actually, Scotland have not beaten France in Paris since 1999.
Yeah,
that's a long, long time. But do you know what? Why not this year? The way that Scotland are playing, we've got absolutely nothing to fear. If I'm France, I'm more worried about Scotland than Scotland should be with France. Every chance that Scotland can do this, and if they can beat France, I think we'll beat Italy. So then the big game will be Ireland. So what a chance if we can! That France game could be critical. Win that, every chance we're going to win it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think the Ireland game's at home. Is that not the last game, Graham? So, that would be good.
And again, there's no reason that Scotland can't beat Ireland either, but that France game could be the real decider for me. You win that, I think you've got a very good chance, because I think, I don't want to use the word cannon fodder, but I will. Italy are pretty much cannon fodder every tournament. I think they do try, but they're not quite as good. So if Scotland can beat France, I think they've got an absolutely fantastic chance to win this. And why not? Why not? Can't this? I said this weeks ago. Why can't this be the year that Scotland finally win the Six Nations? There's no reason they can't do it. It would be incredible. And again, last night we honoured Doddy Weir. What more can you do to honour Doddy Weir than winning the Six Nations and having a lift for the World Cup as well? And again, there'll be a lot of teams in the World Cup looking at Scotland now thinking that won't be as easy as people think it is. So Scotland are in a very good place just now, I think. And fair play to Gregor Townsend. They've done a very good job.
Imagine Scotland winning the Six Nations in the World Cup. Anyway, I just woke up there. So thanks for all your comments today. Thanks to Graham, as always, for joining me on the show. We spoke about football, the cost of living, VR, everything. We've got the world sorted in 2 hours. So we'll do it all again that Friday night between 5 and 7. 5 and 7 for the weekend preview. and then again next Sunday between 3 and 5. So thanks to all your comments. Thanks to Graham, and we'll see you next week here on The Locker Room. Have a good week.